gay.
Okay, let's do this fucking shit.
If you've not played it, I highly recommend Tabletop Simulator. It's exactly what it says on the tin, and you can play your usual board games with people online, but unfortunately its developers and moderators are going to come under a lot of fire in the next few days, as Berserk Games bans a gay transgender player called Xoe for expressing her sexuality, which, if the sound of that riles you up and your automatic response is Berserk Games are transphobic and homophobic, then I suggest you listen to the story. The first thing we have to clear up is, I know I did a bit of a clickbaity title, but that's what GameByte did, so hey ho. What I can see coming from miles away is people going to accuse Berserk Games of outright banning Xoe from the game, when that isn't what happened at all. What actually happened is she was being an LGBT idolog in chat, when the mods tried to explain to her why she keeps getting an auto-ban in chat by constantly bringing up sexuality. They banned her from global chat. She wasn't banned from entering a private chat, she wasn't banned from the game, she just couldn't chat in global anymore. That was what the ban was. There's not really a lot to this story, as it is pretty much what I said. Some LGBT activists got banned from global chat, not the game or private chats, for being an activist, and is kicking off with the devs playing the perpetual victim now. But to quickly go through it, Xoe kept getting auto bans and temp bans for constantly mentioning sexuality, so eventually she has enough of the bans, not realising, not stopping to think that people may be sick of her. This is when Xoe asked moderators why, and they explained to her that global chat is family friendly, and talk of sexuality has no place in it, and you can see exactly where this is going from fucking miles away, but get to that in a sec. And the mods just weren't fucking interested in reading a Tumblr rights activist blog, so they ignored it, as they knew they weren't going to get anywhere with her, they weren't going to get through to her, and they had to explain the rules to her over and over and over and over again. So it just got to a point of asking, why bother? And yeah, that's when they banned her from global chat. After this, Xoe sent an email to the devs, to which she had no response from, so she decided to try other means of contact and found Tabletop's official Discord server, where she made contact, and it was basically the exact same conversation she had with the moderator in game chat, where again the rules were explained to her, but she refused to listen. And from what I can gather, she's still trying to pressure them for the correct response. As Xoe herself has released a 20-page archive that I've linked in the description, so you can go read it for yourselves. Don't mention sex, sexuality, or politics or anything along those lines in global chat. Why is that such a hard fucking rule for people like this to follow? And what makes this hilarious is one of the things actual LGBT activists wanted when they were doing Stonewall back in the day is to not be labelled. They wanted it where they could just go about their day as someone who just happened to be gay, rather than a gay person who was constantly reminded that they were gay. You also have to think about the other players in Tabletop Simulator as well, because all they want to do is play D&D, Uno, chess, Trivial Pursuit, whatever, but then pops up in chat,
"Hey, anyone here gay? I'm gay and trans. Any fellow trannies here had top surgery yet? Anyone want to discuss on how we can make more LGBT representation through equality of out..."
Fuck off. People don't want to hear it. That's not transphobic, queerphobic, homophobic. They don't want to see that shit. All they want to do is play some tabletop, because I've seen comments from pro-LGBT supporters and people who are even LGBT themselves saying this one is on Xoe. What's funny here is Xoe has created a crusade where she's this poor, unprotected victim, going as far as documenting this wrong herself with the mentioned archive, and is getting its sexually identifying as Amazon fucking Fire Stick remote SJW friends, an ally to rally against Tabletop Sim and its devs through negative reviews on Steam, on the Steam store, where so far it currently sits on a ratio of 46.5 thousand positive reviews to only 2.8 thousand negative reviews. So yeah, good luck with that one. You can't make a non-issue an issue and then expect people to see you as a victim like a Karen recording herself being in the wrong, expecting people to take her word for it just because she's the one recording it. So people can think, oh yeah, she's the one recording, so she must be the one who's in the right then. Because, yeah, especially when you're now on a crusade to poison the well as much as possible, to a point where I think the devs should actually consider sending out a cease and desist. Because what Xoe and her trans clansmen are doing here is hyper-focusing on the word fetish. Because, yeah, just fucking argue semantics when you know you're in a losing battle. But yeah, they're doing that in order to falsely frame Berserk Games saying transgender is a fetish and that they're transphobic, completely derailing and escalating from the original point and reason for the chat ban. And it's a tactic I've seen from the LGBT ideologues time and time again, and it's an argument I've been in myself, especially during the hashtag superstraight thing. And here's all you have to say for the fetish question. Yes, even sexuality is a fetish. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be a porn category. My biggest concern with all of this is if Berserk Games becomes weak enough to give in to SJW demands like a university faculty, and they do a 180 where they allow global chat to become a tumblr activist wall where any criticism is silenced, just like you see with big tech in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. The chat policies have been doing just fine, where it's only now that someone is spitting their pacifier out the stroller people are making a song and dance about it. But here's the thing, Berserk Games, I've said this in my employment social engineering special video before, you can just tell these people to fuck off, as this will go on for a few weeks, they'll get offended by something else, and then they will move on. Do not let them change the rules you set because, again, I don't have to tell you this, but your players aren't interested in logging in to be greeted by a wall of text from entitled gender studies majors. Just to end on a note that I wanted to make for a while here, because this is something Xoe actually brought up. Even if you ignore chat rules being for everyone, a big problem with laying down the law on speech, so words and terms like gay, is it goes full circle. So what this means is when you get things like Tabletop's chat being filled with your gay comments and they can't be asked filtering and moderating it because they get that many requests to do something about it, it is far easier to go, you know what, you want your LGBT protection, fine. Hits filter key. The problem with that is, although it is aimed to protect the LGBT, it's a double-edged sword that can stop the LGBT from using their own language. And people have been bitching at Facebook and TikTok about this for ages, like this Wired article, for example. And it's like, you mean to tell me that filtering speech is a double-edged sword that can affect me as well? I don't want it to affect both sides. I only want it to affect one, the side I'm against. Tough shit. That's what happens when you want to police speech. You don't get to decide what is or isn't used in a malicious way. The powers that be does. And in this instance, the powers that be, Berserk Games, are stuck in a damned if they do, damned if they don't position, so they chose to do placing a ban on talk or politics and sexuality entirely on all sides of the spectrum. So yeah, just a quick one for you, and again, Berserk Games, don't give in to this well poisoning where love, peace, respect and compassion is used as a guise, because it's obvious Xoe and a trans clan aren't any of that themselves, with their let me enforce my ideology in global chat, or else fucking mindset. Just stand your grounds, and they'll eventually fuck off to be offended by something else. See ya. Gay.